I have spent millions running Facebook and Instagram ads over the last few years, and trust me when I say I have tried almost everything. So the strategy that I want to share with you in this video is tried, true, and tested. And I personally use this strategy right now for my own business and multi-million-dollar brands that I run ads for. As a beginner, I know how overwhelming running Facebook ads can feel, and my goal in this video is to hopefully remove that anxiety for you. Now, before we hop into the ads manager, I do want to give you some very valuable tips that I think are very important to share to help you see even better success with your ads. And after watching this video, if you want to book a one-on-one call with me, I'm more than happy to help you out. All you have to do is use the link in the description down below. Tip number one, you need to know your numbers. And honestly, I can't stress this enough. The reason I say this is because success running Facebook ads really looks different for every business owner, and it's definitely dependent upon the product or service they sell. If you are selling a $2 to $3 lip balm and it costs you $10 to make a sale running Facebook ads, then something isn't working and you need to adjust your ads. However, if you're selling a $70 hoodie and it costs you that same $10 to make a sale, more than likely you have pretty healthy margins and your Facebook ads are working great. So figuring out your break-even costs with your product or service is extremely important in understanding whether or not your ads are working or not. Now, you may be wondering, how do you even calculate this in the first place? Don't worry, I got you. The simplest way to do this is to calculate your return on ad spend, better known as ROAS, and there are plenty of online calculators that will do the math for you so you don't have to, and I'll make sure to link one in the description down below. For example, if you have a $30 product and it costs you $30 to make it, your break-even ROAS is 2. So if you spend $30 on Facebook ads, you need to make at least 2 sales or $60 to break even. In your ads manager, you can actually add a ROAS column so you can always take a look at it week over week. And so in this example, if you see a ROAS number over 2, then you're making money and your ads are working. But if you see a number under 2, then you know your ads aren't working and you need to adjust your ads. Tip number 2, data is king, and running Facebook ads is all about collecting data. Every time somebody comes to your website, adds something to cart, fills out their address information, or makes a purchase, all this information is collected on your Facebook pixel and sent back to Facebook. Now, what Facebook does is they take all this information from your Facebook pixel and they start to create a customer profile. And then what they start to do is say, hey, can we find other people that resemble this same customer profile on Facebook and Instagram? Trust me when I say these social media platforms know you better than you do. And as a business owner, you can use this to your advantage. However, after their iOS 14 update, Apple made it a lot harder to get this information from your customers. Consumers now have the ability to opt out of data tracking, which now makes it that much harder to serve the right ads to your right target audience. So if you are brand new to advertising, it's gonna take you a lot longer than it would have in the past for Facebook to understand and get enough data to realize who your ideal target customer is. So if you've ever heard somebody say that you need to season your pixel, this is the process that they're talking about. Now, in my experience, I say that you need at least 100 purchases for Meta to have a pretty decent understanding of who your ideal target customer is. But also, I think that's kind of the wrong way to look at it. You really need to look at your Facebook pixel as fine wine. The more and more data that your pixel collects, the more and more efficient your ads will become. So even if you're just breaking even at the beginning, keep running your ads, okay? Because what will happen is as Meta continues to get more and more data, your ads will become more and more efficient. Facebook's algorithm and machine learning just gets better with more data that you give it. So definitely be patient and give it some time. The third tip that I have for you is test, and test again. Running Facebook ads is all about testing until you find the right strategy that works best for your business. Now, the strategy I'm going to give you in this video is a really good one, if I say so myself, especially if you're new to Facebook ads. But if you want to get the best performance out of your Facebook ads, you're definitely going to want to try different things to see what works best. As a disclaimer though, you don't want to test too many things all at once. You definitely want to test one thing at a time. So for example, I recommend that you start off with creative testing first, because honestly, your creative is gonna have the biggest impact on your performance. And the tests that you run don't even have to be super complex. It can be as simple as trying to figure out what creative types work best for your brand. So a simple test that you can set up is comparing images versus videos and seeing which creative type gets you the most sales. And let's say videos actually win this test. The next test that you could try would be trying different messaging within the videos to figure out what marketing angle works best for your target audience. And as you could probably tell, this process can go on and on and on. And this process of testing and improving and testing and improving is a way that you really dial in your ads and get the best performance possible out of your Facebook ads. Okay, so now that you have these tips, let's dive into the ads manager. So as you can see, we are now in the ads manager, and as Gen Z would say, I'm gonna show you how to print money. Okay, and so if you've never seen the ads manager before, I want to break down how this is set up. So you can see these three little pillars or columns or whatever you want to call it, right? And in this first column, we have campaign, and this is where you really set your objective for your campaign. And I'll get to that in a second. The second column is your ad set level. This is really where you do a lot of your targeting. And then the last column is your ads. And this is where you actually place your images and your headlines and copy and videos and all that good stuff, okay? And that's it. That's how, structurally Facebook ads are set up. And now I'm gonna walk you through the actual strategy that I wanna give you. And I will say back in the day, there used to be a lot of different strategies that people use, but now I found that you really only need 2 campaigns. You need one campaign to bring in customers, new customers into your business, and you need a campaign that retargets people that didn't convert the first time they went to your website. So really all you need is a prospecting campaign and a retargeting campaign, okay? And I'm gonna show you how to set that up right now, okay? And so all you have to do is click this button right here where it says create, and you select it, and then you're gonna see a bunch of campaign objections. You're gonna see buying type. Now, the only thing that you need to worry about is auction. Okay, that is the best buying type for this campaign. And then you're gonna see 6 objectives, and you're always going to wanna select sales. If you're trying to make money with Facebook ads, you always wanna use sales. That is gonna be your favorite and really only objective, okay? Now, there are other objectives if you're trying to generate leads and stuff like this. And so there are other objectives that can make sense for businesses that will produce income, but for, I would say 9 out of 10 businesses, you want to use sales, okay? And so you're going to want to select continue. Now, it is going to give you an option if you want to use Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. I might make a full tutorial on this campaign type. But again, I would say select manual sales. It's very easy to set up Facebook ads, campaigns. And so advantage shopping is supposed to be simplistic, but if you really don't understand how Facebook ads can work, then it's definitely not a campaign type that I would recommend for beginners. I would actually recommend just to do manual sales because it gives you a lot more control. And if you're not really doing like clothing or really like a whole bunch of SKUs, if you will, then I don't think Advantage Plus shopping makes sense for most businesses outside of like a bunch of product stores or clothing brands or stuff like that, okay? So what you wanna do is select manual sales and then press continue. Okay, so now you're gonna get to the campaign, I guess, slide, and it's gonna ask you a bunch of stuff, okay? And don't feel overwhelmed. I'm gonna explain all of this stuff step by step, okay? And the first one is simple, just campaign name. So all you wanna do is just put in your campaign name. You can name it really whatever you want. What I typically do is just put the information of the campaign that I'm trying to set up. So if I'm running a sales campaign, then I normally put like the name of my brand and then sales and then the date that I started to run it, okay? Super simple naming conventions there, okay? But I've seen some people set up their ad accounts very specific. You know, everybody has their own ways of doing things, right? But you can really put whatever makes sense for your business to keep you organized in your campaign manager. So that's really up to you, okay? The next category is the special ads category. And honestly, unless you're in credit, employment, housing, or politics, you don't need to select this. And I would assume if you're watching this video, you're probably not in that category. But for the sake of just explaining it, if you are, you definitely want to do this. And they have a whole vetting process that you actually have to go through. Like you have to give your ID and they have to verify you and all this other stuff. So if you're in real estate and stuff like that, you definitely want to go through the verification process. Again, if you want me to make a video on that, I can, but this isn't typical for most people, okay? And again, buying type is still auction, campaign objective is still sales, but if you need to change it, you can change it here. But again, you definitely want to use sales. Use catalog. Again, this is kind of like the Advantage Plus shopping type of stuff. This is where you can actually upload your product catalog. So again, if you're running on Shopify or something like that, you can upload all your products to a catalog and run ads based on that catalog. But again, that's a little bit more advanced and I won't get into that. You do have an option to run A/B test, which is a little bit more advanced, but you can set it up here and there's other ways to set it up, but for this tutorial, don't worry about it. And then they have Advantage Campaign Budget. Now, in the past, this used to be called CBO or Campaign Budget Optimization. Now, for this strategy, you don't need to worry about it since it's a little bit more advanced, and I don't think you need to worry about it right now. But if you wanted to have multiple targeting options and if you wanted to target more than one thing, I would recommend setting up Advantage Campaign Budget because this will allow you to spread out your budget based on the best performing ad set, right? But for this tutorial, you're only gonna need one ad set, so you don't need to worry about setting up Advantage Campaign Budget. You can set it at the ad set level, okay? So let's move on. And by all means, if you have any questions, make sure that you comment them down below because I know sometimes I can move a little quick. So if there's anything you're like, wait, what did you say? Comment down below. I'll try to answer it and explain it a little bit better if I didn't do it good enough in this video, okay? So next, let's move on to the ad set level. Okay, so now we're at the ad set level. And as I said before, this is really where you do really all of your targeting. And so when it comes to ad set naming, this is normally where I put in like who I'm targeting. So I honestly wait till the end to do this. But sometimes I already know who I'm targeting, so I put it in. But some of the naming conventions that I like to use is I like to put in like the age range that I'm going after, then the country that I'm going after in the ad set, and then if I do any interest or custom targeting, then I put it into the naming convention here. So for example, I might do 18 plus, and then do all genders, then do US. Oh, sorry. Let me act like I can spell genders, and then do US, and then broad targeting. So this is how you can know who you're going after, right? So this is how I kind of do my naming conventions, but again, you can do whatever makes sense for you. But this just helps me kind of stay and see when I'm just going through the ad managers, what targeting I have in place for this specific ad set. So it just makes it easier instead of having to go into the actual ad, okay? And then for a conversion location, you're typically always going to want to do a website unless, you're fancy and you have an app. But website is normally always going to be what you select here. And then you're going to want to make sure that for performance goals, you're going to want to select, maximum number of conversions. You always want to get the most sales possible with your ads. But they do have other conversion goals. Some people like to get the most value customers. If that's something that you want to test, you can. But to start off with, you always want to do maximum numbers of conversions, okay? Now, if you haven't set up your pixel, this is what it's going to look like. And you definitely want to set up your pixel. I have other videos where I walk through this. So if you haven't set up your pixel, make sure that you set up your pixel, because as I said earlier, data is king. And if you don't have your pixel set up, then your ads are going to perform terribly. So make sure that you set up your Facebook or Meta pixel and make sure that it's installed properly to your website, okay? And then cost per result. This is a little bit more of a advanced strategy, right? After you get a lot of data, you can actually tell Facebook, how much you want to pay per conversion. But if you don't have a lot of data already, then you definitely don't want to put this in, okay? And then you can select more. This gives you your attribution and how they charge you and delivery type. You don't want to mess with this at all. Again, it's a little bit more advanced, so you don't need to worry about it. Then I have dynamic creative. Again, this is more advanced. All this is it will take and mix up your images and your headlines and, kind of serve it differently. And it is a way to get more out of the creative, especially if you're limited on how much creative that you have. But again, this will create variations based on the images and videos and the headlines that you have. But for this tutorial, don't worry about it. It's not important. It's just something that you can test in the future. Okay, now we get to your budget. Now you can select this daily or lifetime, okay? And really, it's really up to you on how much you want to spend. A good rule of thumb for a testing budget is to have 5 to 10 times your product cost. So if you're selling a $30 product, you want to have anywhere between $150 to $300 to test that specific product, okay? Now, I have seen people test with far less money, but it's really up to you. I would say if you are selling like $30 to $100-ish products, anything under $100, $20 to $10 a day is good enough to get started. But I will say if you're selling like really high ticket items, you definitely want to be spending somewhere between like $50 to $100, if not more, a day to get the data that you need, okay? But again, this is where you can set your budget. Now, start date, a lot of advertisers like to start at like 12 a.m. It just makes it clean your data, because you're not trying to start midday. So again, I would recommend starting at like 12 a.m. so you have a full clean slate. But I haven't really found it really affecting your ads too much besides that first day. But I would say just start at like 12 a.m. and just to get a full day's worth of spend, okay? And then if you want to set an end date for your ads, you can here, and you can set whatever date you like. And then next, you have budget scheduling. This is a little bit more advanced if you have a product that makes sense to only sell over the weekend or stuff like that, but most of the time you don't need to worry about that. And then you have your ad scheduling. It's always gonna default to run ads all the time, and I wouldn't mess with it, okay? And then this is where you can set your ad controls. And so this is where you can select your location. So I would recommend just starting off with the location that you currently live in, like the country you currently live in. So for me, I'm based in the United States, so I always start with the United States. But if you're based in Canada or the UK or Australia, wherever, I always recommend that you start with your home country. But this is where you can select your locations. The more budget you have, then I'd recommend, trying or testing other locations. But if you're first starting off as a beginner, your home location is good enough. If you select more, you can select your minimum age. If you know you have a product that, has a more mature audience, then I would raise this up. But for most people, I recommend that you target broadly, which means that you don't put anything into this targeting. It's called broad targeting. You don't need to put anything in here. Meta is really, really good nowadays, so you really don't need to put any targeting in here. So I would recommend that you leave everything blank, okay? You don't need to touch anything besides really, the country if it's not correct. But normally it defaults to whatever your home country is, okay? And so all of this, I would say leave alone, okay? But if you did want to do interest-based targeting in the future, you would want to remove Advantage Plus audience. You would want to switch back to original, right? And then this is where you do all of your detailed targeting, right? All within right here, okay? But for this, we're just going to use Advantage Plus audiences. This is really going to be the best option for you. Okay, you would want to stick with this, okay? And then next, you have your placements, okay? I would recommend using Advantage Plus placements. This is going to give you the maximum amount of impressions and delivery, all right? So I found that this has worked better than manual placements, right? Sometimes, depending on certain brands, I've tried to just run on Instagram only, but I found that running Advantage placements just works better. So I would just use this. And then if you select more, this gives you brand safety and suitability. I always like to edit this and select expanded inventory. Unless you have a brand that for some reason it can't run alongside certain content, but I would say show ads to as many people as you can. You don't need to be worried about, sensitive content unless, again, you have a brand that is like, you really care about where your brand is placed. But I would say for most people, you would want to use expanded inventory. And that is really it for targeting. Now targeting has become super, super easy. You want to leave everything completely wide open and allow Meta to do its job with finding your target audience, and you don't need to put anything in the interest box or audiences or stuff like that. Okay, so now we're at the last level, which is the ad level, and this is where you actually place your images and videos, okay? And again, just like always, I'm gonna walk you through it step by step. Okay, and so the first one is the ad name. And this is where you can just name your ad. You can name it literally whatever you want. This is personally for you. Then the next step is partnership ads. So this is really if you're trying to run ads with some type of creator or another brand, but 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be using this. So you would just click this to off. But if you ever wanted to use another creator and to run ads using both identities, this is how you do it, okay? And then the next one is identity. So this is where you actually select the page of where your ads will run. So you can select the Facebook page you want the ad to run on and the Instagram account you want the ad to run on, and you select this and that's it. Very simple, okay? And then next is where you actually do ad setup, okay? Now you can run it 2 ways. You can create your own ads and upload it to Facebook, or you can actually use existing posts on your Facebook or Instagram pages, okay? So if you have a post that did really, really well organically, you can use that same post and run ads on it, okay? And so a lot of people use that strategy. I would test it out to see, but for this tutorial, I'm just gonna do create ad and manually upload images and videos. And again, you have different formats. You have single image or videos, or you can do carousel or collections. Now, I will say I've been really testing carousel ads, and I found that carousel ads have been performing extremely well. So if you have a multi-product store, right, on Shopify, or your business sells multiple products, right, using carousels allows them to see multiple products at once. And I think in general, carousel type images just work extremely well, specifically on Instagram, right? And so if you have multiple products that you want to showcase all at once that are all within the same, I would say, niche, I would definitely try testing out carousel ads. But you can also use single images and videos, but this is where you upload them, okay? And so what you would do is to actually select your creative, you select images, and you can just upload images. So let's just say I want to upload this shirt. I select it, boom, and then it's going to show you all these different placements, okay? And so 9 times out of 10, you're only really going to care about, your normal feed and stories. And so the cool thing about it is if you want to change how the ad looks on feeds or stories, you can replace it with something else. So for example, this is not great for stories, right? You want to make sure that you use that full 9:16. I can replace it with something else. Now, I don't think I have a 9:16 somewhere in here, but y'all, you get the point, right? So now you can see how it'll show up in stories or feeds or whatever. And so here is where you can select your primary text. You can put something such as, okay, automatic discount at checkout. And it's going to show you how it will show up on your Facebook feed. So as you can see here, you see automatic discount at checkout. So this is your headline. And sometimes it'll give you a variety of text headlines that you can use that may be even better, okay? And then you can place your headline here, luxury tees, right? And you see how that looks. And then you can select description if you want, selling out fast. Boom. And now you have your whole ad. And then you can change your call to action. So if you're selling a product, I always recommend utilizing Shop Now. And you have your first ad. So it's very intuitive. It's super, super simple. It's not hard at all. And that's how you create your ad. And then at the bottom here, you're going to want to make sure that you put in your website URL. And then if you want to put a display link, you can. But this is where you put your website URL. So for this one, this is my clothing brand, Prayed Up Apparel.com. And so when someone clicks on the ad, then they go to Prayed Up Apparel, and boom, you're in the game. You're making money, you're making sales, okay? And then once you have your pixel set up, you'll actually show your pixel here for tracking, and then that's it, okay? And if you want to do another ad or create another ad, you hit quickly duplicate, and it's going to duplicate the ad. And then all you need to change, if you don't want to change anything else besides the actual image, you hit remove. And then let's just say you want to add a video, and boom, if you want to upload a video, all you have to do is select video and select a video. And then you go through that same process again. It's going to ask you, how you want it to look on your stories or feed. Hit next, and now you have another video, okay? And so I would recommend testing at least 3 to 4 creatives, a mixture at least. I would recommend when you're first starting out, trying different videos and images to see which one works best. But that's it. That's how you create your first prospecting campaign, okay? And then all you have to do to create a remarketing campaign is hit duplicate, right? It's going to ask you, do you want to do an A/B test or create a new campaign? Hit create new campaign. And then label this one remarketing. And then what you're going to do is go to the ad set level where you can control all your targeting. You want to make sure that you switch it to original audience. And then you're going to want to use a custom audience, okay? Now, if you never set up a custom audience, it's really easy. All you have to do is create new, hit custom audience, and you're going to pull that custom audience from your website. You're going to hit next, and then it's going to be all based on your pixel, okay? So if you have your pixel set up, your pixel is collecting data like I mentioned earlier, and then it's going to give you an option to retarget everybody that went to your website, and you would place that custom audience here. And then if you want to adjust the images and videos that you send to those people, that's all you have to do, okay? And then that is your remarketing campaign. So as you can see here, it is very, very easy to run Facebook ads and get them started. And honestly, this is the best strategy I would recommend that you use, especially if you're first starting out with Facebook ads. But as I mentioned earlier, it's all about testing and trying and making sure you're putting the right creatives in front of your ideal target audience, but you won't know what works until you try. So if you got value out of this video, make sure that you like and subscribe. And if you would like to book a one-on-one call with me and you want me to help you with your ads, I would love to do it. All you have to do is use the link in the description down below to book a one-on-one call with me. But I will recommend that you check out this video as well, because if you want to have good ads, you need to have a full system, and this video will help you out with that.